Welcome to the Teaching Journeys podcast, hosted by Dave Roberts. Humanity possesses a unique skill, the ability to pass knowledge from one generation to the next. This podcast embraces that ability, offering learning opportunities through conversations with extraordinary guests. Dave aims to leave a positive mark on individuals around the world. So before you dive into today's episode, please share this podcast with your network, including friends, family, and colleagues. And please consider leaving a rating or review. Your support makes all the difference.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Teaching Journeys podcast. I'm your host, Dave Roberts, and today it is my pleasure to have as my guest Eileen Bild. Eileen is CEO of Ordinary to Extraordinary Life / Otel Productions and Otel Universe, a universal voice. Executive Roku channel developer, founder of the Core Thinking Blueprint Method, Breakthrough Spark Coach, and founding member of Jet Set Music Media. She sparks people to see life through a higher perspective in order to thrive while being their authentic self. Her focus is on core thinking, the 3 C's: confidence, courage, and clarity, and overcoming life's adversities through strength with grace in order to achieve success in a way that is fulfilling and optimizes one's potential. Whether working with the CEO, business owner, or artist, Eileen takes them the next step for success. And with that, Eileen, I want to welcome you to the Teaching Journeys podcast. I've been excited about our conversation for some time now.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here because I love to share and talk about all the things that represent who I am, where I've come from, and talk to the audience about success.
And I know I'm anxious, and I know our audience will be anxious to hear your perspectives on that as well, too. And one thing that kind of struck me is when in your bio you talked about overcoming life's adversities through strength with grace. I automatically thought of grace under pressure, and I think that might have been an Ernest Hemingway quote or line. I believe not only do you manifest that, but I'm sure you teach your clients to manifest that as well, too.
Absolutely, both. Yes, and it is a practice. It is something that is a learned behavior because we tend to operate from a perspective of getting angry when things don't go the way we want. And strength with grace allows us to move through the adversities without getting broken or disappointed or anything that puts us in the direction of losing hope that what we want to achieve, we can.
The other thing, too, anger is such a draining emotion. It just leaks our energy. And I know when I've been in a heightened state of anger in my life, when I've come down from that, I've been extremely exhausted. And it's taken me some time to recover from that. So trying to find the middle ground or a proper vehicle or an appropriate vehicle to appropriately channel emotions, I think is really key. So
it is. However, anger is okay as long as you use that anger to push through and to take action that gets results versus using that anger to exhaust yourself, like you said.
Exactly. And that's a great point, too, because if we can use anger as a motivating force, that can help us achieve our goals. It gives us the energy to achieve that. Tell our listeners, Eileen, about the experiences that have shaped your life path and your life passions today.
Okay, we could talk hours on that. However, for the sake of time today, I will give the Reader's Digest. I was living the normal life, raising kids, being a homemaker, and doing some side jobs. But when I turned 40, I had a major breakthrough with a health crisis in which I self-healed. And that was an awakening for me to start to look at what's important in my life as far as my own self-development and idea of who I am in the world outside the label of mother, wife, daughter. And it put me on a path to where I got my master's in transpersonal psychology. I studied things in the alternative field looking at things from a holistic perspective, mind, body, spirit. I like to add soul as well. And from a business perspective, it's understanding where was I in my own sense of my authenticity. Am I showing up in life authentically myself? Or do I have a lot of what I call baggage, things holding me back, old belief systems that weren't mine? And as I studied and delved deeper into the self development, I realized I was carrying other people's ideas, perspectives, belief systems. And as I started to grow into my authenticity, the idea of who am I in the world and why am I here was in the forefront. And then when you let go, other things show up, right? So when you close one door and open another door, the universe works in mysterious ways. So I started closing doors and opening new ones that people and experiences would start to show up. And I began to understand my true gifts and my true skills, which is being a guiding light to show people the way. So that's like the overarching. And then what comes under that are all the nuances of living the physical life and having a job or working, or in my case, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I learned along the way that my writings, I'm a writer, I'm an author. So all of my writing, I'm a teacher through my writing. And it's not on purpose, but it's just how I write. I'm a poetic writer, I'm a life teaching writer. So that's one way that I reach people to help them to understand their own path, their own sense of autonomy. And then I fell into the music industry through my husband, my now husband. And that opened up the door of creativity from the perspective of musicians and artists or writers. So I have a parallel connection because as a writer, I can understand artists and where they come from with their music. And when we started to do video productions, live video productions, I could connect with the artist on multiple levels because I'm also an intuitive, very highly sensitive, because I have a hearing loss. So my six senses are heightened, and those kind of go into overdrive when I'm working with people or trying to listen to conversations. When I look back, I can see this path that was stepping stones. Some of it was on purpose that I chose. Some of it was I was thrown onto that journey. But today I'd like to just say that it's extraordinary. It's awesome when you can be living in the moment on purpose, without judgment, without fear, without stress, without anger. And you just let things come to you and recognize when they come to you, either for growth or for opportunity. So the strength with grace you mentioned earlier, that's all about the authentic self, having the boundaries to know what you want in life, what works, what doesn't work, and saying yes to what works and no to what doesn't work and not feeling guilty about it. And then allowing those people and opportunities to show up for your own personal growth, development, advancement, and success.
There's a lot that you said that rang true. The first part is the ability that you had to self-heal your health challenges. And I know there have been other individuals in the past who have used their internal body energy and without any interventions from Western medicine, to heal specific ailments, cancer included. I think Louise Hay was one who wrote a book about that, where she was diagnosed, I think, with stage 4, it might have been ovarian cancer. She was presented the traditional options of chemotherapy and radiation. She said no. She just went into deep meditation and was able to put herself into remission just by using her internal energy. And I think that just shows us that the human beings are capable of doing beyond what society says they can or can't do. And I'm not saying that everybody has that ability to self-heal, but there are certain individuals that can go beyond those perceived limitations that society or other external forces place on them to then they just go beyond that and say, the heck with it. I am going to transcend limitation and reach my true potential. And the other thing is about having faith in the universe's plan. That's very difficult for me at times. I want the universe to hurry up with their plan. But I think you're right. When you let go of any expectation of how things are supposed to be, the universe provides in ways that we would have wanted to be provided for anyway. But it's just having the patience and the faith to just allow the whole plan to evolve.
And when you set it up to just let go and allow, there's this certain element of flow that starts to occur, and you see yourself differently in the world. You experience the world from a different, I'm going to say, level of being human and having an experience. Louise Hay was my catalyst, because that was one of the first books I came across when I made a declaration that I was going to heal, because I kept saying, why me? Why am I going through the health crisis? And she's the reason that I took that next step. And I set up a protocol that included our holistic therapies. And it does work. It does take faith and will and more power and a true belief that we have the power to heal. We have the power to create our lives in the way we want and wish. But there will be obstacles and there will be challenges, because the universe tests us all the time. And it's through those tests, I believe, that we realize, oh, okay, when did I say something back then that caused this to possibly go into action and this result happen? So we have to be, the 4 agreements, impeccable with our word is one of them. And we have to be impeccable with our thoughts, because thoughts are just as powerful as anything we say.
Absolutely. And Don Miguel Ruiz and the 4 Agreements is one of my favorite books too. And I always like the teachings of don't take anything personally and do your best. And your best can be defined differently depending on the situation, but always strive for your best, with the implied message being don't strive for perfection. And I tell my students, excellence doesn't demand perfection. You can be excellent and not perfect. Throw that whole illusion of perfection out the window and just strive to do your best and strive for excellence.
I like that. And I agree with what you say about perfection provides disappointment, or at least a disappointment. But when you set intention and you set yourself up with small milestones of success, then you start to experience the I can attitude versus the I can't. If anyone says, you can't do that, I'll say, shit, watch me. Because we can't. If anyone has already done something that's already existing, then that means something else can be done that maybe hasn't existed yet.
Yep.
Because we've come a long way since caveman days.
I would hope so. I would hope so. I want to talk a little bit about Otel Universe and what inspired the creation of Otel Universe. And after you describe the inspiration for that, tell our audience about your mission and the services that you provide to the creatives who request services from you.
Thank you. Yeah. So Otel actually stands for Ordinary to Extraordinary Life. When prior to 2020, we were doing mostly work that was external. We had to go out and interact with people, do live filming, everything. Nothing was solidified through the computer. So when the world shut down in 2020, our business basically was non-existent. And that was Ordinary to Extraordinary Life. So it was suggested that we look for an opportunity to create an overarching theme. And so Otel Universal Voice was born. And what came out of that was a platform that gives people a voice for their passion, visions, and dreams. Because people either are afraid of going after their passion, their vision, or their dream, because they've been told you can't do that. You're not good enough for it, whatever the objection is by the outside. influences. And I wanted to create a company where people could feel safe, feel comfortable, feel heard, valued, understood. And as a creative, whether you're a musician, an artist, a writer, whatever the creative field is, it's not valued as much as other careers up there, I should say. And yet, we wouldn't be a stable society without the creatives, because the creative mind is what brings the passion, what brings the joy and the happiness, and brings that part of us to where we can see the value of our life and the world around us. And I think today there's so much negativity and so much that brings people down. We want to be that light in the world that
Mhm.
can shine throughout the whole globe, and people can find us and know that there is a place for them as a creative, and they have a voice, and it's okay for them to express, whether it's through song or through their book or just through sharing and talking about their life struggles and successes. Yeah.
I think that's a great objective. That's a great mission. And I think providing a voice for those who don't feel they have a voice, or where their voice isn't taken as seriously as it should be, I think is something that I think we should all strive for in societies, to give those individuals to a voice to be heard. And I also teach artists at the Pratt Munson School of Art in Utica. A couple of psychology courses. They are very intuitive. They see the world multidimensionally. They're very deep thinkers. They teach me a lot through their own writings. For me, a world without art would be a world without inspiration. And it's the same with music. Through my own challenges, there have been specific musical artists. There have been specific songs that have provided clarity for me during a time of challenge. Neil Peart, the late great drummer for Rush, his writings, his music provided a lot of inspiration and hope for me during my own challenging times. So for me, I don't know where we would be as a society without creative expression, or the absence of that. I think our society would be much more diminished and much less full because of it. So I am glad that you do, and what your husband Trevor do during through Otel Universe, to put the creatives front and center. I think it's great.
One of the things that uh, we are very proud of is the development of the Otel music videos, which is a Roku channel that came out also during the COVID shutdown. So we give a place for indie artists throughout the world the opportunity to showcase their videos and their music. And we also have now a interview category. So anybody that has interviews with artists can go up there. And then we're getting ready to launch July 1st a video show through a company that has a plow zone. They have a radio show, but now they're going to be like an MTV style called the Plow Zone Video Show on the Otel Music Videos Roku channel. They have 2 episodes we'll be launching starting July 1st, and then we'll just be adding episodes as they produce them. They spotlight 5 bands throughout the world. So again, we're doubling our ability to give exposure to artists who may not have the large exposure that we offer through the TV, to help people find them. Because there's talent, just amazing talent. And I like to say, it's a jungle out there in the music industry. And so to find a footing is challenging and difficult. So we try to do what we can to make a difference and make it a little bit easier, because artists can direct people to our Roku channel to watch them. And then all the opportunities that we provide through my Musician Alliance page on our website, which is oteluniverse.com. And then I am co-founder of the Jet Set Music Media. So we offer opportunities for social media coaching, because a lot of artists aren't tech savvy, and press releases, pitching for airplay and other opportunities. We're a small company doing big things, is what I like to say.
It sounds like it, and it sounds like you're expanding by the minute.
Oh, we get submissions for the Otel universe every day practically. And I created a radio station alliance so people can go onto that page to submit for themselves to be interviewed or get airplay depending on what the offer is. And so that's I'm adding to monthly. It's a blessing and we're very honored to be able to bring opportunities to artists in a way that is giving them more for the music that they put out, the writing, their heart and soul, what they put into their career, and to give them hope that by going through the Otel Universe platform, someone out there that can take them even further will see them. Because we have had someone let us know that videos seen on our channel has led to bigger opportunities. And if I believe correctly, it's their music is now going into a TV show type platform. We're a launching pad. Like I said, a light that other people find.
And it sounds like you and Trevor are all about the message of promoting really good artists and creatives and musicians. And I think once you're about the message, you build a really supportive community that is going to bring more individuals into that community because they know it's about them and it's not about any other message that you're trying to promote or draw attention to yourself. Because my first belief is that the message is that our message needs to go on long after we transition to another world. And if we focus on the message and not the person delivering the message, our legacies will continue to live on. And it sounds like that's the vibe you're trying to create with Otel Universe.
Absolutely. And not just for musicians, but we also have a featured book page, which your book is featured on there. And we
And thank
welcome,
you for that. And thank you
you're
for that.
welcome. You're welcome. And we welcome submissions. There is a place on the featured book page to a form to fill out. And it doesn't take me long to pop it up and link it to Amazon or wherever the book can be found. And so there's a lot to explore on our website, and people can take their time to see who we are, what we have to offer. But we're here for the creatives, and we're here for other people to grow, to again realize their passions, visions, and dreams. Because I always say, if not now, when? We're not getting any younger, and life is not a practice. It's we're born and we transition. So what do we do in between that space? And so we help guide people to live life to the fullest.
I like it. Speaking of your website, there was a message on your website that really intrigued me. And it goes like this: the creative mind brings art, music, stories, and connections. Can you elaborate on the significance of that statement for you and how it informs your work with the clients of Otel Universe?
It's a great question. Like we've talked earlier, without the creative mind, things can be stifled or boring or just not quite balanced and for me. So I need to have that balance of the creative and the doing. So it's important to honor and respect that intuitive self, that part of us that tells us you're good, you're good enough, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to bring that inner part of who you are to the external world, and not feel like someone's going to judge you that you have to shut that down. To me, it's such an important part of life itself because a lot of the philosophies of life are based on writings of the philosophers and the humanitarians and whoever sees that there's fragmentation in the human spirit. And so that statement tells us we can tap into our humanness of the spiritual and the intuitive and the creative to feel like life has meaning.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we go through life thinking, what's the meaning of life? I know we ask that existential question all the time. And I think people will struggle with that. And I think that leads to other issues as well, too, if they feel their life doesn't have purpose. So I'm glad that by emphasizing that sense of community and connection, and that's going to be something that will, I think, help individuals see purpose and see meaning.
It's been wonderful to watch artists and writers, because I work with both, grow. Years ago, I had someone connect with me, and he had been holding back on his creative skills in writing poetry, and I encouraged him. And I shared with him, it's okay to put it out there. And eventually he did. And he couldn't thank me enough for believing in him and giving him the holding space for him to work through whatever he needed to feel confident enough to put it out there. And
Mhm.
then he realized that it was okay. And so it totally changed his outlook. He became more positive about life. And so sometimes it's just a small shift or change that can be a huge difference in a catalyst for someone's life to have a impact.
Just communicate to somebody that you believe in their work. I think that creates an immediate sense of connection, creates an immediate, now I have purpose again. And I think it
Yes.
just motivates them to continue to go forward and with your help and collaboration, help them discover their true gifts.
And even seasoned artists that we filmed multiple times would thank us because we use both of our skills, not just video skills, but our
Hmm.
intuitive skills to bring out the best in artists when they're on stage. And they recognize that, I look a little different in these videos, or now I got to up my game because we made them look good in video, but they didn't feel they matched that
Hmm.
outside the video. So they had to,
Hmm.
it encouraged them to, or inspired them, I like that word better, and inspired them to become a better version. And then they would come back with another desire to do another video production to see their improvement from the first one. And for us, we really love to see that because we like to see people happy and enjoying life.
When they come back, what that's also saying to me is that you focus on building ongoing relationships. It just isn't a one-time deal and then they're done and they go off into their own universe. It's you create an atmosphere where you're going to create ongoing relationships where they're going to want to come back and they're going to want to connect with you to see how they can better build on their brand or better build on their talents. And I think when we focus on building relationships, collaboration occurs naturally, and I think it impacts positively the bottom line. I think if we start thinking about the bottom line first and we forget about building relationships, bottom line is going to go right down the drain.
I agree. And one of the things that we are very particular about is making sure that we have integrity with everything we do. What we say we do, and what we do we say.
Yep.
And people recognize that because we're so different from a majority of, no, I shouldn't say the majority, but a lot of companies and individuals out there who are just out to make money and they don't build those relationships and collaborations, and promises are made and things are not done. And so people get disillusioned. And it's in all the industries out there. When people start working with us, they're like, you guys are different.
Mm.
I can trust you. And I believe that you believe in me. So thank you. That's what we do.
But I think any good manual for a business should start with integrity first because
Yes.
everything flows from integrity. Leadership, repeat business, clients, if they see that you say what you mean and mean what you say, and
Yes.
that you are going to be honest and very transparent, they're going to come back.
Absolutely. And when they see results and they feel success, they experience success, they want to stick around. We're in continuous constant communication with clients, even from back in 2010, because they experience what their goals were, and we were part of that and helped them to achieve whatever it was that was their intention. And when you help someone with what I call their pain points or their desires that they can't seem to fulfill, it gives them hope, and then they can achieve more in their life than before they work with us.
From scrutinizing your website, it appears that you value collaboration. From your perspective, what makes for effective versus ineffective collaboration, and how can collaboration help everybody achieve their personal and professional goals? So that's like a two-part question, Eileen.
It is. The first one, what makes a good collaboration, what makes one successful? Both people have to be in it on the same page. And it's not about what can I get from you? It has to be what are we going to achieve together so that we all move forward higher to another level of success. It's got to be a win. There's no room for any misinformation or any connection
Mhm.
that isn't truthful. Goes back to integrity. When there's collaboration, there has to be an equality of give and take and ideas of exchange or exchanging ideas so that one person doesn't feel they're any better or appear to be any better or bigger or whatever than the other. That's not what it's about. It's about how we're going to take our two gifts and abilities and skills and blend them to make an incredible, extraordinary opportunity for those that we're going to present this to. And it works.
Provided that all parties are willing to listen and to acknowledge their differences and to say, okay, how can we come together amidst the differences? Let's find our similarities and let's create a product or an enterprise or a creative piece that's going to be better together than we could do separately. It's like
Absolutely.
the sum becomes greater than the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes. Yes. And what happens is, again, like I said earlier, the universe works in mysterious ways. Things start to, it takes on an energy of its own, that collaboration and that relationship. And people show up and opportunities show up as a result where you're not having to go out and seek it. It comes to you. And it's so much easier to live life that way. Show people what you do, how you do it, and what the successes have been.
Yep.
And that's basically how we've grown. And we just show people this is who we are and this is what we do. And if you want to join us, let us know. So I always welcome people to the Otel Universe family community. It just keeps expanding, which is great.
And pretty soon you and Trevor are going to need to clone yourselves to keep up with the demand. But that's a great dilemma to have is when you have just more people coming in and saying, how do we access or release more resources to deal with it? So that's a problem that all businesses should have.
Absolutely. It is a good problem, but we do pretty good with keeping up with the demand that we have right now.
Mhm.
We work very well together, exceptionally well. We know our strengths and our weaknesses. And I'm very organized and he's a perfectionist. So between the two, things get done pretty quickly. So we haven't hit our roadblock yet. But if we go to a point where we may have to get other people to help, that would be a nice growth stage to have.
But I hope that manifests for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. There is a teaching from my favorite book on the afterlife called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers by Annie Kagan that goes something like this. Society teaches limitation, not potential. So how do you help individuals transcend either self-imposed or externally imposed limitation to help them discover their true gifts?
I'm going to say overarching, never say never, because anything is possible. Impossible is I am possible. So that's the overarching. You mentioned earlier my three C's: confidence, courage, clarity. And what I teach with that and bring that into all of my endeavors with uh, the people that we work with. When you have confidence, then the courage to take that next step, to reach out to the person you want to talk to, do the unfamiliar, and to go where it's a little uncomfortable, then the clarity of what you want is a lot stronger. So if you hold back And the fears keep you back. And the worrying about what others think and others' judgment, your confidence is going to be minimized. So I first help people understand how strong is your confidence? What are your boundaries? How do you say yes? How do you say no? And when your confidence is to where, you know what? I think I'm going to reach out to this person today, regardless if I get a yes or no. So it's, again, letting go of the fears of rejection. And when you do that, you start to make those connections and those collaborations because your confidence is strong. And then you have more clarity of the choices that you make. So you make fewer decisions that lead you down a path that does not take you where you want to go. And instead, with strong confidence, strong courage, now the clarity of, I like what that person's doing. I'm going to reach out to them and see if we can connect and see what can happen with what I want to achieve.
Mhm.
The likelihood of that happening with that kind of strength, with grace, is going to be a lot stronger than, well, if I want to reach out to that person, what if they turn me down? It creates a whole different energy, a whole different atmosphere, and a whole different experience. And so it takes practice to build the confidence, courage, and clarity to where they are all working synonymously with each other. And the nice thing is, you don't have to try. It's just a way of being, and it becomes your authentic self.
The message that I like to communicate to my students who are taking a class with me for the first time is I don't care what your past performance has been in other classes. I believe you are capable of doing great things, and I'm going to treat you as if you are capable of doing great things. I'm always going to treat you as if you are capable of reaching the moon. And I think if you treat people as if they are capable, as if they can transcend whatever internal or external limitations have been self-imposed or imposed by society, they're going to achieve great things.
And
But
and
they,
and yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I'm going to suspect that a majority of the students have never heard that kind of support before.
I know some of them have told me that they haven't.
Yeah.
That does my heart good because there's always a teaching aspect to anything that we do, whether it's Otel Universe, whether it's in academia. But teaching isn't just about teaching a subject, imparting knowledge. It's about building relationships. And the way we do that is to invest in those individuals personally to say, look, I don't see you just as a client. I see you as somebody that's going to be capable of doing great things beyond the classroom.
Mhm.
And I want to instill that belief in you and have you begin to buy into that for yourself. And when you treat people as if they are capable, Eileen, it's amazing what they do and how they respond.
And they come back later and they thank you. You
Mhm.
made a difference in my life. I'm sure you get that as we do. And
Yep.
it could be years later. And the other thing that surprises me, but makes my heart warm, is when someone makes a comment on a post that I've never seen a check or a heart or a thumbs up or a heart or anything, but they make a comment that I've been watching your post and they've made a difference for me. Yeah, I've learned a lot from what you share, things like that. And that's a reminder for me to never stop what I'm doing, even if at times in the past, not so much now, but in the past, I would sometimes think, why am I doing this? Is it making a difference? Is it really doing anything? And I've had people, the more that I have people show up out of nowhere that say, hey, I showed your article to my granddaughter or my niece and it saved her life and I had that happen. And that's okay. I'm on purpose and I need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. And there are days I will question whether or not I'm making a difference. And then I'll get an email or a card from a student or somebody whose path I crossed. And we had a great conversation and they'll tell me what you did made a difference. And that keeps me going and tells me that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Eileen, if there's one thing you were going to leave our audience with today, what would that be?
Believe in yourself and don't give up. Always say yes to what life brings to you, that when your heart of all hearts, that it is right for you. And keep pushing, keep dreaming, and keep reaching for the stars.
I think that is great advice, no matter what the endeavor is that we are undertaking. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And finally, if individuals want to get in touch with you, want to find out more about your services, what's the best way for them to do that?
So there's two ways. They can go to Otel, OTEL, universe.com, or they can email info at hotelproductions with an S.com.
And I'll make sure that gets into the program notes so that it's there for the taking for individuals who choose to access that information. Eileen, with that, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. I hope we can do this again in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to talk with you again. We can do a deep dive into psychology and thinking and that part of the conversation.
Yep.
That's one of my
Absolutely.
favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. And transpersonal psychology would be a nice topic to explore in a future episode. So I would look forward to that conversation. That is a wrap on another episode of the Teaching Journeys podcast. I'm your host, Dave Roberts, wishing you peace.